halfway. Make my voice double. Enemy, do you see the game? Yay, nay, let me know. So we're gonna see if we could finish the next chapter. We'll see. Alrighty. We're gonna swap out the game title though. Great Ace. There we go. Yes. Yes. Alrighty. Let's go. Trial part 1. Here we go. Ooh. Yep, I did change it just now. The 23rd October, 8 a.m. The Old Bailey, Defendant's Antechamber. Can't believe it's been 6 months since I was last allowed to work in court, and now here I am, back at the Old Bailey. Oh, here's our harebrain scientist. Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Good morning, Professor Harebrain. I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense. The atmospheric pressure is off the charts. I've never felt anything like it. It's crushing me. I feel it every time I'm here. That gravity. Well, this is Britain's highest court. But are you telling me it's fitted with some kind of device that can actually control air pressure? I think it's probably all in the mind. Well, you won't let me down, will ya, Mr. Naruhodo? I'm counting you in today's trial to save my life. To save the secret of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine from being made public. Yeah, I understand. I have to establish that the explosion 2 days ago was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. Well, I'm here. I'm sure there's nothing to worry about, really. Justice will prevail. My commiserations, Mr. Naruhodo. Your appearance have been lumbered with the most tiresome case here. Who's this? Oh. Mr. Sholmes, I didn't expect you to see you here. That was very mean, Naruto. Leave me all alone at home with Hurley? Took me at least an hour to wake him. Is it? Are you Sherlock Holmes? Indeed, sir. I am he. Sherlock Holmes. Oh, I've heard all about your exploits, even whilst living in Germany. Ah, yes. Rand's magazine is on sale in Germany, too. This month's installment was sublime. Your deduction in Adventures of Silver Blaze was wonderful. Yes, a memorable case indeed. It concerned a snake, I seem to recall. No, that was a speckled band. Well, thanks for coming. I do appreciate your support. I'm sorry to disappoint you, my dear fellow. I'm afraid I can't stay. Oh, okay. A urgent business at Madame Tespel's. You mean your waxwork job? No, the waxwork adduction, of course. Madame has engaged my services. Hold on. I think my little cube thing is blocking a lot of the screen, so we're gonna just turn that off first. Oh, there. All right. So you're trying to get to the bottom of that ransom note, are you? The week's wages depend on it, as does the safe return of the waxwork, naturally. As such, I intend to give my undivided attention. Well, never mind then, I understand. Of course, with my skills of observation and reasoning, resolving the matter will be as easy as proverbial pie. I shall return forthwith. Till I solve the case, I'll no money to afford any pie of any description. Oh, you must absolutely give it your full attention, Hurley. Quite, Iris, quite. But life is riddled with irony, you know? Whenever I give something my full attention, I have quite insatiable desire for pie. One of the universe's intractable mysteries, you might say. Yes, quite. Definitely, absolutely. I totally understand. Is someone a little starstruck? Wish you the very best, Professor Hairbrain. Why, thank you. Before I depart, Mr. Naruhodo, a word in your ear, if you please. What's this about? As you're remarkably little grounding in science, I feel I ought to inform you. As compelling as a super high voltage instantaneous kinesis hypothesis may be, a practical implementation such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Depression is quite impossible. The professor said the demonstration was a success. It would appear he firmly believed it was. I read Professor Moneybrain's paper about it too, Bruno, and I have to say, I'm sure it can't be done. It would barely be done theoretically, let alone practicably. So he completely is barking up the wrong tree? But how could an experiment have no possibility of succeeding in fact succeed? That's contradictory. It's that contradiction that will be at the heart of the trial, I have no doubt. What's that supposed to mean? Now, I must hurry along. I wish you the best of luck, my dear fellow. See you later, Hurley. Ta-ta. Alrighty. Let's get a little drink going. Well, it looks like you're on your own today, Rena, but you know, you can do it. What about you, Iris? No, I'm afraid I can't help. That's something I need to do. Okay. I see. It's gonna be a big surprise for you when you find out what it is. That sounds ominous.
Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court is about to be in session. Make your way into the court at once.
Alright, I suppose so. An experiment that the laws of science can't possibly succeed? And a scientist who's convinced that it did? That's the riddle you have to unlock here, Ryunosuke. That's the key to this case. Mysterious, huh? 23rd October, 9 a.m. The Old Bailey courtroom. We have some new faces.
In the name of Your Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We're sitting today for the public trial of Professor Albert Hairbrain. I now call upon the counsels from the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready.
Defense is ready, my lord. And 6 months out of practice. What more? I'm without Susato-san today. It's just my imagination, or does the air here feel even more oppressive than usual?
So, I must say I recollect the victim in this case all too well, Odie Osmond. Mr. Osmond is well known as a financier, although that was merely a front for his diverse criminal activities. It was only a month ago that the man appeared in court to prosecute you, Lord Van Zykes. The jury unanimously found him not guilty.
Because every member of the jury has been bribed by the sound of it. These powerful London criminals are prepared to go extreme lengths to keep their freedom.
2 days ago, 21st October, Mr. Osmond met his end. The work of the Reaper, was it? That is how your lordship would describe divine retribution. The fact remains that Mr. Osmond's death was a direct result of the actions of the accused, Professor Harebrain. Very well indeed. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you have been selected at a random and represent the will of the people, and the 6 of you ready to fulfill the societal duty. I'm most gratified to be selected to carry out this important civic duty, my lord.
I have man's fate in the palms of one's hand. Oh golly, it sends shiver down my spine.
Science, experience, magic, conjuring tricks, courtroom trials are nothing but more than performance. Any scholar that defiles the reputation of science deserves to hang.
We have to listen to what's said on both sides of the fence and to settle on one. That's it, isn't it?
Wasn't like this my day, wasn't it, Legis at all?
That's the police killer Otter Mole look like. Again. He's exhausted as ever, it seems. Now, as I'm sure you are all aware, the incident here we judged today tragically took place at the Great Exhibition shortly after its upcoming.
Although the death toll could have been far worse with the exception of the victim, no one was killed. Nevertheless, the dream of science being exhibited rapidly turned into a nightmare for the spectators. A tragic turn of events. In the eyes of London, the whole world will be on trial.
Yep, objection. It's our duty for swift prosecution.
So your opening statement, please, Lord Van Sykes. His technology never demonstrated anywhere in the world.
What are science's latest developments, I take it? The government seems to capitalize on the Great Exhibition for Britain's technological advantage. The technology being
Demonstrated by the accused was super high voltage instantaneous kinesis. Good lord.
It's designed to disassemble human subjects using extreme high velocity electricity. Good to see you, Chovy, by the way. And beam them instantly to another location where they're subsequently reassembled. Let me know how you're doing today. If there's any prayer requests you'd love to pray for, I'd love to pray for you, and hope you enjoy the gameplay.
Is there such a thing in the realms of possibility? Well, I don't believe it, that's for sure.
Disassembling people with electricity. How shocking.
Ha! The whole idea is absurd. The hypothesis will never stand up. Surely, I believe you're a fellowship of the Royal Society and expert in the field. I am. The word on the matter is final. Instantaneous kinesis. No.
Impossible.
What's the prosecution's view on the matter? The prosecution would assert that the accused instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a success.
What?
What rot? Order. The professor's hypothesis is currently under investigation by the British government. It is deemed to have merit. A substantial research grant would have been made available. The accused made the use of the invention built on his new hypothesis to take Mr. Osmond's life in order to be the sole benefactor of the grant.
But...
This disastrous demonstration was no accident. It was carefully designed from the outset to end the life of the victim.
Oh no.
Thank you, my Lord Van Sykes. The prosecution's stance is clear. But will you now forth witnesses to substantiate it? Gladly, my lord.
Alright. Here we go. It's cross-examination time, right?
Lilith, show the first witnesses to the stand.
Alright, here's Harebrain and my guy Gregson.
Witnesses, state your occupations and names.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard. I was on duty on the demonstration on that day in question in charge of following investigation. Uh, uh, Albert Harebrain, scientist.
You were born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct?
Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany, made an amazing discovery, which brought me back. I've demonstrated an incredible hypothesis in Great Exhibition, which demonstrated was incredible. Its explosion. But the science was a success. Instantaneous kinesis worked, everyone saw it. That was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success.
Well,
Much of that is undeniable, as shown in this photograph taken by the forensic team. Oh, his name is Harebrain, just spelled different. Yes, that's true.
the judge was taken inside the crystal tower, I take it. The centerpiece of the exhibition, no less.
That's right, my lord. It seems the victim did this.
I see. Very well. Submit the photograph as evidence.
Alright, you have our evidence we need to look at. Cool. As the court heard, the victim of the incident was Odie Osman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting aside, he is the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself.
I see. So, to summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct?
Exactly. But could it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right. That must be it. My splendid machine. My poor splendid machine. You saw it yesterday, didn't you? We can't imagine the wreckage thanks to the special dispensation of the crew. Wreckage? Wreckage?
But that being the case, how could the facts be established? How could it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simply, my lord. I beg your pardon? Isn't that right, witness?
What? Sorry, me?
No, your neighbor.
Yes, sire. And that was his murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that complete certainty. What? How could that anyone possibly think that?
Thank you, Inspector. I think we better proceed. You'll explain to the court what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a affront for murder.
Alright. Let's hear him.
The corpse that went crashing through the crystal tower had a broken neck.
I made a minor miscalculation in the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake.
But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest, and where he had clearly been stabbed by something sharp in the heart. So the victim was killed before he went anywhere. This fellow's the only one who could have done it.
Wow, that was open and shut. Well, let's press a little deeper though.
In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart.
Information I could really get from someone other than the judge.
The coroner says the death could have been all but instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused.
Oh, no, that couldn't be further from the truth. I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. Alright, there's a zappy device. The victim stood himself inside something called the bird gate, ready to be beamed instantly. Oof. Zap. On the second level of the crystal tower, about 25 yards away.
The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion, and the blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in midair, from where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the crystal tower's large round window. Yikes.
My word. One assumes
The victim's neck was broken on the impact with the tower then.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. Honestly, it was an accident, a terrible accident.
Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you.
No, not considering the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. Murder weapon? What are you saying?
This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. The prosecution would like to enter it into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel.
Alright, let's read all of the evidence, right?
I was there in person, you know. I saw the whole ludicrous performance, and the only other person on stage with Mr. Osmond was that disgraceful excuse runner scientist.
And really, by all accounts, this must have been him. What? Hairbrain? What? I thought you already...
Hard to think otherwise, really. Very well. Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination, please.
Okay, yes, my lord. I need to focus on here. It's been a while. The cops went crashing through the whatever. Let's present and read all the evidence first. Okay, we looked at this. We looked at that. We are looking at this. We already pulled the trigger on that. Looking at the photograph of the victim, there's glass. There's a thingy mabob. Glasses. Survived. Okay, interesting. Autopsy report. Details of the victim. Odie Asman, 47, British. Time of death, 21st, 2:20 p.m. Hemorrhage of a wound to the chest that pierced the heart, inflicting deep implement. Observations: broken vertebrae, most likely result from the impact of the fall. And what's the weapon? We gotta find out.
Hold it!
Are you suggesting he fell in considerable height? Exactly. Which highlights something else about this whole room business. What's that?
The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success.
After the explosion, the cage with the fella suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Low experiment ended in disaster, so how instantaneous kinesis did occur.
Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster?
I made a minor miscalculation of the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake.
Okay.
Hold it!
Hold it.
So the angle of the projection is critical, and you calculate it yourself personally? Absolutely, the calculation is pretty complicated, but so I must carry it out. Oh, you got it wrong, didn't you? Yeah, that's right, that's the point. The calculation is so complicated, even I can make a mistake. Do people fall for the brazen confidence? I should try it. I took into account the subject's height and weight in the wind direction, ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, you have to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Asmund wearing at the time too, I suppose. Cackling comets. The answer should have been 3. So much for safety first. 3 must be for safety third. Objection, indeed. Post-mortem examination, let's say. Tell me about it. Another fatal injury, you say? Well, that doesn't make any sense. I didn't think it had spelled out, but here we go. Just because there's fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it? 2, right? Obviously, at first we thought the blow had like due to spine snapping in half as well. You're saying that's not the case? Got your answer once I finished in ships, and you button in every 5 seconds? Oh, we know that's bottomless bag. He had unlimited chips. The victim plummeted 30 feet into the glass tower. Reasonable to assume that was the cause of death? Right, that was what we thought, but that was red herring, wasn't it? Alright, explain. There's a lesion in his chest where he could have been stabbed something sharp right in the heart. Hold it! The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. The prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere? Thanks. Alright, so what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused tools that were used in the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Oh, it's the bolt from the crossbow? There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Andrew, of course. Do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends. Like all my tools. I named them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew's my flathead screwdriver, of course. His brother Michael is a crosshead. Well, it would appear beloved Andrew has a red stain in isn't it? It's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt. Oh dear. Uh-oh. That's not all. A long sharp blade of this Andrews fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? Yikes, is indeed yikes. The courtroom enters friend of the defendant's courtroom thingy. So one of the Hairbrain's tools is a murder weapon. Sounds too convenient though, right? So the victim was killed before he went anywhere. This fellow is the only one who could have done it. Hold it! How so? What grounds do you have for saying that? Yeah, right, Hairbrain. There's only 2 people on that public experimental stage, so in front of the whole crowd. The victim and Ozzy Asmund and the accused, Professor Hairbrain. And we know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw him with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion and kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only somebody else on the stage. Oh. And Albert Hairbrain's the only bloke who fits the bill. Let's go to this guy and pursue. Excuse me. Professor Hairbrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Interesting. Professor! Sorry. I was just calculating the optimal coefficient of electrolysis to separate the molecules in the human body. The witness stand is the best place for that. Seems though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Yes, that's right, of course. He just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh? I don't know, but there's no way I could possibly stab Mr. Aspen, as you say. Explain, please, Professor. Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose, but humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins. I had heard. Literally, you see, if I plunged something the size of Andrew into a man's chest, the whole stage would have been a bloodbath. No, a blood swimming pool. But thousands of Londoners were watching me at the time. Yet not one of them claims they've seen a swimming pool of blood. Well, no, I suppose not. You see, not one. That's true. I didn't see anything like that. Well done, Professor. That was a great counter argument. Wow. Who knew that my defendant would, my guy on the stand would help make a good argument? That's pretty rare. Oh, he's drinking. There must be something on his brain. Bro, forgive me. The discourtesy I will savor a drop from a hallowed chalice to accompany my old friend's adducing. What now? Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Barrick, but I'm really not a patch on you. Wow, that's mean. No, you're not. No? Yikes. You're neglecting to mention one crucial possibility. I have? A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound. Of course. Inspector, enlighten court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? Very well. I will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. Okay, we're gonna need more testimony. The weapon the victim was stabbed must have been left in his body whilst he was beamed through the air. Hold it! That's pretty wild. Why do you think that, Inspector? But that he wouldn't. With any wound, it's only when you pull the weapon out that the profuse bleeding occurs. Whilst it's still lodged in the body, it acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word. I see. You don't need a mental degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator. Where's this other someone? You need her. If you ask me, this bloke masked what he was doing in front of you with his body before stabbing Asmund in the chest. Then he beamed the victim off the stage with his fancy device, the screwdriver still where he planted it. I would never do such a thing, not to my precious tools. I never use them such dirty work. You only use tools for their intended purpose. That's common knowledge for any scientist. The fact remains, the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained as the prosecution has demonstrated. Well, that's pretty weak, though. So that's all the testimony I have to work with. I have no idea the victim had been stabbed, and that changes everything. Did Von Sykes keep that to himself until now on purpose, taking the advantage? Very interesting. Oh well, I suppose all I could do is press these witnesses for as much new information as possible. Crashing. Made miscalculation. Postmortem revealed another fatal wound. Lesion to his chest. Stabbed by sharp. The weapon stab must have been left in the body while she was beamed through the air. And how do we know that? Autopsy report says hemorrhage of a wound to the chest that pierced the heart and a sharp implement, broken vertebra, mostly resulted in impact from the fall. And we can look at this, I suppose. Yes, this is blood. Mr. Osmond's no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. Okay. Maybe there's more to it? I've seen this unusual shape handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine. Which could be important information, so I should definitely take a note of it. Alright. Okay. That. We read that. We read this. Reaper attacked. Yeah, we read this one before. Kingpins of criminal underworld generally manage to escape conviction in Reaper's trials, but this is the first time henchmen tried to attack Lord Sykes, too. Makes you think, if that's how justice system works in London, then there must be dark forces at work. Okay. What is this, though? It's a hand crank. Very interesting. Beamed. He was laying down and probably the front. Shot in the front. Stabbed must have been left in his body while he's beamed in the air.
Hold it!
Right. Why do you think that? With any wound when you pull a weapon, yeah. Most body, yeah. Stopper, swords. Right. Yeah. Beamed. The victim of it was his fancy device in the still plant. Ready plant. I would never do such a thing. Only use common knowledge. Fatal wound, lesion in the chest, stabbed by something sharp, right in the heart. Found in the grill of the base of what remains to be.
Objection!
You're saying that while the weapon remains in the body, there's a little bleeding. Yeah? Is that unequivocal? Look, there was no blood on the experimental stage, even though there was where the fellow was stabbed. The only explanation for that screwdriver was still in the body, stopping any bleeding, heavy bleeding. It's common middle knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Right? Yeah, but about the screwdriver, the thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves on the experimental stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, you mentioned it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contravened the special dispensation of this for Scientific Equipment Act? Oh, just got objected. No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. I just let him look, nothing more. It wasn't clear he wasn't. I was clear he wasn't to touch a thing. Yeah, that's true. This screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. But it shouldn't have been, should have. What are you getting at? This tool had been in the victim's body when the victim had beamed away by the machine. Then it shouldn't have been on the stage. Ah, yeah. That's right, it should be beamed across the crystal tower with Mr. Osmond. And found still lodged in the victim's chest. Ah.
Order. How do you explain this, Inspector?
I don't. It looks as though everything that the victim had on his body moved with him when he was beamed, but the screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred. Obviously, that would have been beamed to destination as well. Yo. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, they're still basing arguments on the assumption that it actually took place. Alright. Time to tighten up the screws here. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in this argument, we can only conclude that the testimony given in support can't be relied on. Ornament likes his stumped.
Do you have something to say, witness?
Yes, I do it. It bears out. The equations hold. Naruhodo, don't worry. About what? Without delving into the details, there's no inconsistency. What? Even if Andrew had been lodged in Mr. Osmond's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew's remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. Uh-oh. What? Oh dear. Now he's stepping on his own.
It seems your illusions have been shattered. Clearly, we should hear the accused's explanation.
Okay, if you say so.
Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation?
Ooh. Guess when he found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument.
Scientist. Very well, then. Defendant will testify again.
Oh dear, here we go again.
Provide us with the scientific explanation to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold.
In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. Oh, I don't know why you are naming him Apollo, but I guess. Alright. To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. The hypothesis states the kinesis can't transport metal, though, hence the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point just raised by Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Mr. Osmond was a patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. Oh dear. Now I have the duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. Oh dear. So, the thrust of your testimony, Professor, is...
The respondent's hypothesis that metal objects can't be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequently discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. Therefore, Professor Albert Harebrain could still have been the killer.
And my great hypothesis holds, you see. We had to make the cage used to contain... We had to make the stage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason.
was not addressing you with this.
Professor Hairbrain? Yes? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruto. No. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist after all. Oh dear. Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell.
Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponese friend.
Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruto. Let me turn on the fan. It's feeling a little hot now. I'm invisible. Alright, inconsistency. To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states the kinesis can't transport metal though. Hence a metal. Okay, let's just press this down. Yet you retort my argument wasn't lacking in confidence anyway? No scientist can't find truth without first finding self-belief. Those were the words of the certain scientists I hold in the very highest esteem. But you realize that disproving my arguments puts you in a very precarious position, don't you? No scientist should strive to protect himself more than he strives to protect the truth. Okay, hold on. More words in the same great scientist, you know. Words that are causing me a lot of trouble. Who is this scientist? I'm afraid I can't tell you, Mr. Naruto. But as soon as I remember the magnificent genius's name, you'll be the first to know. It might be worth keeping the names of your idols to mind.
You'd be wasting your breath, my learned friend.
This scattered brain even forgets my name at times. I guess. So Lord Van Sykes did have a friend once, but I didn't notice how freezing over. Okay, let's press this metal weapon hypothesis. Your hypothesis states it, so this isn't proven yet? No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one based on thousands of calculations. But it's widely known that metals can't be decomposed by electrolysis. Yes, of course, so I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. Haha. What is it about this incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? That's the whole reason that my bird cage is made of wood, you see. Sorry, the bird cage? Yeah, that's what I call C obtuse stage cage in which Mr. Asmund was placed for kinesis.
The jail cell in which the victim was detained. It does indeed seem to be made of timber of some sort.
I thank you not to refer it as an instrument of incarceration, your lordship.
In short, any weapon lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage if it was made of metal, correct?
Yes, that's it. Yes. It fits perfectly with the mathematical model.
Well, the ultimate conclusion then is that the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury into the victim, is it not?
Indeed, sir. Somebody beamed me out of this nightmare. In other words, the point raised by Mr. Yeah, okay. Hold on a second. You seem to be quite pleased by that. Yeah, another example of my hypothesis holding true. But I sense some sarcasm, Mr. Naruto. Are you not pleased? No. I knew it. At the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for the Asmin losing his wife. The advancement of science is no excuse, I know that. No, you're quite right. Tell the court you did. Tell the court, did you have a close relationship with Mr. Osmond? Well, no, not really. I mean, we only met him 2 or 3 times. We only had ever discussed my hypothesis in the project and the research grant, of course. Okay, very suspicious. Mr. Osmond was the patron of my research. Without him, my work would have been impossible.
Hold it!
And how did you come to know Mr. Osmond in the first place? A year ago now, a small provincial science journal published a little paper about my work. A scientific journal? Good gracious, I shouldn't need new spectacles. It might have been an extraordinary hypothesis and a great promise, but at the time I had no money. I had to eat tiny little meals at a tiny little cafe and drink watered down water out of my little glass. But Mr. Osmond read the paper and came to visit me at my tiny little laboratory.
And offered you money to help fund your work?
Exactly what happened. I handled the theoretical side of things and Mr. Osmond provided me with an engineer for the practical. And the 3 of us produced a fantastic machine together. The machine you brought the great exposition to demonstrate. We had to apply it to the government for some sort of inspection to be allowed to exhibit, I think. I didn't understand all the side of things. Mr. Osmond took care of all of it. He's a wonderful man. Really, I owe him everything. Now I have the duty to protect the incredible machine we built together.
Hold it!
When you say you built the machine together, doesn't it mean you were involved in its construction? Yeah, well, not exactly. I'm not good with the practical side of machines myself, but so the physical construction was done by an engineer.
Lower remains recreation now, though, following the explosion. Repair will no doubt be impossible.
Yeah, I realize that, but still. If someone were to gather up all the broken parts, they could discover the secrets of my hypothesis. But Mr. Osmond and I toiled over that machine so long. We put our hearts and souls into it. I have to protect our work. So what's left of the machine must be kept safe. That's only fair. So what happens was an accident. Okay. That's the extent of the testimony then. Thank goodness for that. I don't want him to do any more damage. He's already basically proven that he could have been the culprit. It seems as though he really cares about is defending his hypothesis. Still, I wonder, what if his hypothesis is just fundamentally flawed? Okay. Can't transport metal. Okay, well, we can present this as metal, so maybe we can in other words, the point is I guess we can display this.
Objection!
Professor Harebrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see Mr. Osmond's wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. Oh, metal? No, metal can't. That's not... Metal? No! We already established the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis is correctly predicted that outcome, it should have been predicted. The metal rimmed spectacles would be found in the same place.
Ah! My hypothesis!
Professor Harebrain, this isn't easy for me to say, but your hypothesis is clearly flawed.
Ah! Order. Counsel, what's the implication of this?
If on the day in question the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, then it's entirely possible that the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. Hey, hold on. It might be too loud. That's windy for... Okay, let's find out where on the stage he was killed. And in that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit.
My hypothesis is sound.
I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of all my work. I don't know.
I guess there's something here. My capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society. Yes, juror number 4, go ahead. It's a man of science. There's one thing I simply can't abide. That fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science.
Wait, great Scott, what are you suggesting my science is suspect?
It's been disproved, hasn't it, in front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was complete nonsense from start to finish. Believe me, my fellow jurors, when I tell you that this man is a heel, a bounder, and a fraud. I say the wreckage of that machine should have been stripped down and thoroughly examined.
No, never. That machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
What is that blasted act all about? Who made such a daft role?
I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor? Wait and see. I don't know. What can I do? Maybe I should watch and wait for the time being. My feeling is that the machine requires a thorough examination. But what about this special dispensation? This is all too much.
This determination that the machine itself was a murder weapon, I think you'll find the act won't apply. Of course it was the murder weapon. Anyone can see that plain as day. So we're all in agreement, aren't we? Now the machine should be stripped. If I don't do something, they'll... Objection!
Professor Harebrain has yet to perfect his invention. This would seem to be the case, but even so...
Even so what?
Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public, he would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Uh-oh.
We've fallen into some trap.
He had obvious reason to do exactly that. With the research grants and money.
Oh no. If the government was foolish enough to deem this man's ridiculous notion plausible, he and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed.
Conspirators?
What would be the value of such a grant? 10 pounds?
You're an order of magnitude out, madam. 500 pounds a year.
Oh, I could live handsome for that much for a year.
Society has noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently.
And there's plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake.
The people's greed is plenty motive enough for a murder, I assure you.
I like how the corn cob person is like making a typewriter sound. No, I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound, the science is sound. Please, you must believe me.
No matter how believable the hypothesis may seem, you ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Barak! And therefore, the only person who could have possibly committed the murder is the accused.
Barak. Where is this heading? I have no idea.
Well, Lord, if I may, just those words, Sykes. The prosecution would like to summon new witness to the stand. New witness? What would be the nature of their involvement? They were the spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition who were occupying special seats.
Eyewitnesses?
Very well. The court grants the prosecution's request. The prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no postiche. Or postage. I don't know. The accused killed the financier victim here on public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my lord friend.
Yes?
It's time for you to make your own stance clear.
There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. I can definitely see that. But where does this leave me?
We shall take a short recess now, during which time the prosecution will prepare new witnesses to take the stand. As you wish, my lord. Good. In that case, the court is adjourned in 20 minutes.
Looks like trial part 1's over. Well, now that we're done, I think we're gonna maybe finish our Maple story.